said they are, in a particular section of the country. So what are your thoughts on how help can get to them, of how they can be food secure, and, how this figure could also impact on the rest of the country?
First thing first, when we have the conversations that where food is expensive in Nigeria, it's a fact, but not the truth. What do I mean? Distribution is the challenge in the country. Currently, Maiduguri to Lagos is 4 million naira for a 30-ton, the one that carry cows. 4 million. Gombe is about 2.53 million to Lagos. Enugu to Lagos is about 1.5 million.
This is transportation.
Transportation. So when you say your eggs are increasing and the maize is coming from Borno or Adamawa, and 4 million is logistics. And when you look at it, that 70% of poultry, namely broiler, layers, is in the southwest. So first thing, we need to rejig the narratives. The data we are working with, southwest can grow maize. In fact, more than any part of the country.
Can we do it all year?
We do more maize all year round in southwest. We can even grow during the rainy season, get dryers. These things are not rocket science. They used to happen in the 70s. I witnessed them. Almost all the Ogun River Basin, the river basins, had drying components where farmers will grow and they will dry, and so they will use it to make livestock feed. So if we revisit what used to work, we just need to get the people who understand the history and know how to adapt it to modern challenges. So when we reduce distribution by refocusing that livestock in southwest, then let's get southwest to produce. Imagine if you cut 3 million or 3.5 million of that logistics, then eggs will be cheaper. So logistics is really what we need to pay attention to. Distributing these foods is the challenge, not necessarily production, because about 40% of everything we still produce in this country as of today still goes to waste, especially fresh food.
Okay, but purchasing power is an issue in addition to the logistics challenges, because first of all, how do you even get around the logistics challenges if you talk about opportunities, harnessing opportunities, and then affordability is the issue. It's not like we don't have them, even though you say we may not have enough, but
yes.
Affordability is one of the basic concerns.
You see, part of affordability comes with planning. Okay. And planning appropriately. We're not planning for West Africa. I've said it on this platform many times. We don't plan for West Africa when we are doing our projections. When you see the Ministry of Agriculture talking about we will need X tons, they don't put in the factor that they are coming from Mali, from Gambia, from Togo, from the West African countries. They all come and mop up our grains and store in their countries. And now they are selling back to us. That is what is currently happening now. I stand to be corrected. Call the feed millers.
So that was why you earlier said food insecurity. Insecurity is not the reason.
It's not the primary reason. It has contributed to it, but not the primary reason. The people, and this data is not captured. They come in trailers, in Gombe, in Kano, every day during the season. They come, they move these things out. And that's why they sell in dollars. So if government wants to make more money, not to ban. Let's plan for them. We have the lands, we have the variety that can give us high yields. Let's plan for them. If we plan for them, when they come and buy, it will be forex earning for the country. And then we would have produced enough for them and enough for us. But when we don't produce for them and they come and buy at high prices and store, and when we are coming back to bring it, we are buying expensive. Many of the confectionaries and breweries import corn into this country because of consistency. So if we want to have national conversations around food security, we need to call the manufacturers, the conglomerates, the breweries, and co to say, what's your need? Can you build silos? will you fund this project if we provide security apparatus for you? And they will fund it, but we're not talking to them. They have a need. When you heard that one of the companies declared 120 billion loss, one of the biggest in baby food productions and co, what's going to happen to them? They are likely to be like the GSK, Sanofi and co. So they've been posting the losses, but we're not paying attention. And their primary inputs, millet, maize, sorghum. So when we focus on West Africa, these people go and buy from West Africa. They buy expensive. So when they produce, it must be expensive. So we just need to rejig the data we are working with. Things have changed. We should no longer depend on oil like we do. And we should no longer fully depend on the North for the food the country consumes. We should work on the comparative advantage of each state. Each state can grow maize. Each state in this country can grow everything that grows on the North. And guess what? Climate change that is real, that is actually going to affect us this year. That climate change, we've not paid attention to it. The whole of Europe last year and 2 years ago faced heat. And so they could not move food. Food was expensive. This year we've seen 3 rainfalls. There's a likelihood that we're going to have, very huge flood coming in and drought, along the line. So when we are planning for that, and that is going to be challenging more in the North. So we need other parts of the country. We need government to begin to look at other parts of the country as a measure for our food security. Most of the conversation you see is still North. It is good. We need to have more cottage industries working in the North now than production in the North.
Yeah, more questions about the state of security in the country and the state of infrastructure. And many has opined that this has seen to the increase in food prices and sometimes a reduction because perishables stay on the road for quite a long time and get destroyed there, and it can't get to its destination there, and people lose money and all of that. How do we address such situations?
Now, you see, perishables, the way we move perishables in the country is not how perishables should be moved. It should be in reefer containers, those big trucks with refrigeration. However, do we have a business moving tomatoes from Kano to Lagos? No. We grow tomatoes anywhere in Southwest. The Northerners need to be processing more now. They have the land. The climate is ideal for commercial. They've invested heavily over the years. There are no cottage medium factories converting this produce. So now the roads are bad. The government is also broke. Let's face reality. The government is trying to get more money. And so before they can fix this, it will take a long time. So can we now raise processors in the North? Encourage people in the South. So people will say, oh, the tomatoes don't do well. No, carrots don't do. Everything does well anywhere in the country. There are new varieties now that you can plant during the rainy season. In fact, in the North, tomato production reduces in the rainy season. Here in the South now, there are varieties. So there's nothing, we are applying old syllabus to modern day food security challenges. But I can say this to you. I always said, in 6 months of laser focus, Nigeria will take care at least 30 to 50% of its food security challenges if they create platforms for private sector to come in, to leverage on government infrastructures, the dams available, the reservoirs available, the lands available. There are many cleared lands that, the economic challenges have made people stop operating. We need to bring them in. That is very crucial.
Are these the low-hanging fruits you spoke about?
Yeah, these are part of the low-hanging fruits. Now, things like, the people producing like the tomatoes and co, they can begin to produce tiger nuts. It's high export earning, tiger nuts. There are many things that Nigeria needs to begin to bring from other countries now to grow here because there's a higher demand outside for forex. So all these things grow. We grow Benin seed, which is reedy. The oil, that's what you see it on burger. Those nuts on burger, those small tiny nuts.
We have them here.
We grow it in Kano, in Benue. It can grow in any state. of the nation. So we need to look at, vanilla is in high demand globally, vanilla. We're not producing. So we need to reduce all this pepper, tomato, tatashe that is wasting and focus on other crops that have export value.
Because a school of thought, actually differs from your recommendation, saying we need to grow more food crops as against, the cash crops.
So the thing is...
So I want you to, clarify your position.
So there's a place to grow staples, okay? If the roads are even good now, and we plant more tomatoes, what the average, we do the copycat syndrome. Somebody is growing tomatoes, you grow into tomatoes. But like I said earlier, if government opens up the opportunities that is available, more people would say, should I grow tomatoes? Tomatoes is wasting. The good thing about the wheat that the government is doing this year is that it reduces the tomatoes that will go to waste. It reduces the tomato that will go to waste. And is it affecting the price of tomatoes? No, because those about 100,000 hectares of tomatoes will go to waste. If you go to North during onion season, which is tomato season, I went to the Gombe ones, they gave me a Hilux load of onions. Nobody was buying, it was rotting away. So instead of encouraging farmers to produce and it goes to waste, can we grow more crops? Why should we not grow groundnuts in the dry season with irrigation? So it's just that we're not challenging the status quo. There's a huge demand. If the farmer is looking for more money, so if we let them know this is available, that is where the commodity boards will still come in later. If it comes in and it does the job that it's supposed to do, open up these opportunities. We are not embracing the opportunities we have. West Africa has one crisis in one state or the other. Nigeria has the land. We have the people. We need more productivity. The lands that have been opened, we have not maximized the usage. So the yield generally is low. So we need government to support the seed companies, not to give farmers seeds. When they support the seed companies and they can get equipment that is long-term, they will produce more. And, when we're talking about staples, when we say, let's grow, let's say, corn or cassava now, we do not have the cassava seeds, the stems to plant for export. We don't have enough. So the seed value chain is where the government needs to pay attention to. Fund those people. Because when you open up the opportunity and there's no seed, we'll use dollar to bring it in again.
So do we have storage facilities?
We don't have enough. We don't have enough.
Not that we don't have. Not that we have.
Yes.
But not enough for our people.
We have not enough for our people. I understand those silos were concessioned out. Okay. I don't know the status of today, but about 2 years ago, the people who even paid for it, they had not released it to them. Yeah. And even at that, the way it went, national food storage is national security. Insecurity of gunmen is not real insecurity. Food insecurity. We saw what happened when there was a challenge and people were looting warehouses. Real insecurity is food insecurity. So government needs to go and develop their reserves and have reserves in control of government, not private sector. But they also need to encourage private sector to own silos. When I was in a training in Iowa, you find many cooperatives. Cooperatives owned many silos. They built it around farm, like the river basins. They built it around them. What did they do? So when you harvest, you sell to them. They warehouse for you, and they keep it for a small amount of money. And when you want it back, they sell to you or they sell out. So private sector needs to engage in this, but importing those silos is a lot of money. In terms of tariffs on it, government needs to remove tariffs on a lot of agricultural inputs that we don't produce in the country because we don't produce almost anything, any inputs. Once they remove the tariff and people can flood it in, so you want to go to cassava farm, is not hoe and cutlass you're using again, there are small equipment you're using, we will attain that fast. Then gradually empower our research institute that have those mandates, work with them. So let's say it's a 5-year. In 3 years, we allow these things to come. They can check and remodel and scale up what we have. But currently, and this is the truth, the government may need through back doors to import some grains for us to be food secure, temporarily, without announcing it.
And would you advocate for that?
I will, because the poultry industry in Nigeria is about 98% dead. So without that, many experts in my field will not advocate for that. But reality in food security is that they may open back doors, because if we plant corn today, it takes 3 months. All the dry grains is harvested in the dry season globally, and it's rain, not irrigation. Yeah. It's rain you use to produce. True. And you harvest in October where it snows, and in December where it does not snow. So you cannot plant anything now and dry it and take care of the staples. So they must bring food in, especially the grains, back door, without announcing it. Because when you announce it, it becomes crisis. When you allow some people to bring it in and not regulating it to just 5 people who are also users. That's what normally happens. You say, oh, we now give 5 companies. The 5 companies will now have an unhealthy comparative advantage over other competitors. So allow the people doing the business to bring it. Don't stifle it. But we need grains. That's the truth. I'm not afraid to tell the truth. We need government needs to open the borders back door to bring these grains in, because we don't have. Before we can have, it's going to be in the dry season. We need to leave before the dry season, and that's the fact, and that's the truth.
You've also spoken about, commodity boards. I know